Hey there, everybody. Cindy Hartzell with Unbridled Freedom. This is our 10-week series of empowered women. Still can't get the name right. A horsewoman's journey to empowerment. I'm going to have to rename that. We are on episode 9, Cultivating Mindfulness and Patience. This is a powerful topic. I could have easily put it at the beginning, but it is as profound where it is as the 9th episode in the 10 series part, in the 10 episode series. While we're waiting for people to join us, why don't we just take a minute, settle into our seat, put our feet on the ground, take some nice deep belly breaths into our power center, that space 3 inches below our belly button and back towards our spine. It's called our power center because it's where our gut resides, those gut feelings. It's the closest part of our core to the ground. So when you breathe deeply into your power center and out through the soles of your feet, it's really very grounding and puts you right here in the present moment. When you focus on your breath, it's really hard to be focused on a whole bunch of other things that are chattering on in the mind. The average human's mind thinks 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's pretty crazy. However, when we are focusing on our breath, breathing down deep into our power center, the chatter stops. That's why it's so powerful. And when we do it with our horses, you will literally see your horses become calmer and more grounded and more present with you. In my 12-month Unbridled Freedom mentorship program, I teach my students about breathing early on, and they are blown away to see how calming it is for them and how their horses respond to it. So, mindfulness and patience can be obtained. You can start playing with it, feeling it, having moments of it by simply breathing down into your power center. And I really encourage you to do this several times a day. I have my students who all of us are used to breathing in our upper lung lobes. We have 3 areas, here, here, and here. And when we begin to stop breathing, and usually it goes, oh, I can't even do it. Usually when people who aren't aware of their breathing, when they breathe, they, and then when they let it out, that's backwards. When you really are getting a full lung capacity load of oxygen, your belly button expands out. And when you let it go, your belly button goes towards your spine. That's how horses breathe as well. When you practice this several times a day, so back to my students, I have my students start to practice this early on in our program, and I have them set the timer on their watch or their iPhone to go off 4 times a day. I have them first thing when they open their eyes in the morning to take those deep belly breaths 4 to 6 times. Sorry, I was out grooming one of my horses and I feel like I have this mud all over my face. Then I have them do it midday, mid-afternoon, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and when they crawl into bed. Last thing they do before they go to sleep. The more that they practice this, the more the body craves it. Now, the interesting thing about this is when you first start, you might find it's really hard to expand your chest. It'll feel constricted, and it will almost make you feel a little anxious. And when you really start breathing down deep, what you might notice is lightheadedness, which creates a little sense of anxiety. And the reason for that is because your body, your brain, your organs are not used to getting full capacity of oxygen. And when you breathe in that full lung capacity of oxygen, you are oxygenating your blood. You are oxygenating your brain and all your organs and your muscles and your tissues. And your body loves it. But at first, you'll get dizzy and lightheaded. And you'll get a little anxious feeling. Don't let that stop you. Let that tell you you're on the right track. So I have this really great little thing that I actually copied off of Facebook, and because I love it. So the human typically has a mind full, and look at all the garbage going on in there. Where our horses are typically mindful. They're mindful of their environment. They're mindful of their herd, which in this picture we have a herd of 2. They're mindful of the noises, how their herd members are feeling, how they're feeling, what the terrain is like, what they hear, what they see, what they smell, what they taste in the air, what they feel in their hoofs and in their skin. We tend to be mindful. So what we're going to talk about today is going from mindful to mindful. And the best way to practice that, I love the saying at the bottom, learn to be present and enjoy the moment. How do you become mindful with your horse? When you're grooming them, instead of thinking about the time frame, about what's going on around you, what you're going to do as soon as you get them tacked up, what you have to do when you get home, that conversation you had before you got to the barn. Take your deep breaths with your horse. I guarantee you they're going to take them with you, and you're going to see them become more calm with you. Because when we're taking short, shallow breaths in the presence of our horses, we are basically in that fight or flight, sympathetic, adrenaline-driven, cortisol-releasing state of being. We are in reactive mode. We're taking short, shallow breaths. Our horses are sensory awareness masters, and they can feel that. Have you ever been around somebody who is like, okay, what are we going to do? And did you know? And I can't believe that this really happened. And can you believe that? And let's go ride. We got to go. Can you believe that? Look at what she's doing. Can you believe that? Just, can you feel when I did that, how you went from listening to me to a little bit of, Our horses do the same thing. They may not outwardly show it. Some do. Some get anxious being tied. Some get antsy waiting for you to finish grooming them. Some of them internalize it. So how do we begin to become mindful in the presence of our horses, which is the best place to practice it? Is when we halter them up. Hopefully you've let them catch you and you didn't catch them. You stop with them before you rush out the gate. Is pause. Just look at them in the eye. This is your horse. This amazing being is with you. Take some nice deep belly breaths. And what I like to do is I like to breathe in through the top of my head, all the way down through the soles of my feet into the earth. And the reason I like to do that is because I'm taking in clean, refreshing air and letting it out through the soles of my feet, which literally make me heavier on the ground, grounding me. And when we stop and do that with our horses, before we even leave their enclosure, that puts us in the state of present moment and mindfulness. Mindfulness, not mindful. And then when you go and you hook them up or tie them up, or you might groom them without being tied. I tend to groom my horses without being tied because I like for them to learn to ground tie. Another series, another episode. As you're grooming them, be with them. Instead of being mindful of all the things, be mindful of each stroke that you take. How does their coat look? How do they respond to the different areas that you're brushing? Do they have a favorite scratchy spot? Take a moment and scratch it. All horses love to be scratched, like a nibbling, scratching, like each other would nibble on their wither area. That's how horses mutually groom and bond with each other, is they groom each other's withers. Pay attention to your breath. Now, if your horse is a more high in their sympathetic nervous system, adrenaline junkies, because that's who they are, or mostly they've been taught to be that way in the presence of humans, be patient. He may not want to stand still. She may not want to match your breathing. She may not want you to take the grooming slow and mindful. That's okay. Be patient. Now, a lot of us don't have the ability to be patient. It's something that we struggle with. How do we become more patient? The first thing, which is always the first thing in any situation, is the first thing. The golden rule is take 4 deep belly breaths and breathe out through the soles of your feet. Put yourself in the present moment. Because if we've got all that mind chattering going on in the background of our head, we can't be patient, because all of that mind chatter, whether you're aware of it or not, I guarantee you, is creating a stress response, is creating a sympathetic adrenaline response. And when you're in that place, it causes you to be more reactive than responsive. So when you're in that space, it is so very, very hard to be patient. So we breathe those 4 deep belly breaths, which puts us in a mind full of the present moment with our horse, space, and which causes us to drop into that parasympathetic nervous system, which releases endorphins and serotonin, which are the feel-good chemicals. Because we're taking deeper, fuller breaths, we're fully oxygenating our brain and our entire body, which says we are in homeostasis. We are in a safe space, which allows us to be patient. Impatience is caused from a mind full of chatter, sympathetic adrenaline, cortisol, reactive space is what causes us to be impatient. because we're in that hurry up, got to get it done, got to get it done. Our body doesn't know why. Our brain doesn't know why. We are having a autonomic nervous response to a pattern that we have developed probably long, long ago. So when we're helping a horse to get over a pattern that we don't want, or we know is causing them stress or discomfort or unhappiness, getting in the way of our partnership, we have to interrupt the pattern for them and show them a better pattern. So how do you go from mindful to mindful? Is to be in the present moment, breathing. And you start by recognizing that your mind's going a mile a minute, and you take those 4 deep breaths, which has now interrupted that pattern, that habit, and has put us in the present moment and has quieted the mind so that it can be full of our horse, the environment, the trail ride, the activity we're doing with them. And when you first start working towards this place of mindfulness and patience and being grounded in the present moment through your breathing, you're going to have to do it a lot. Like 15 minutes to groom your horse, you may have to do it 20 or 30 times when you first start this. Be patient. We are the leaders of this amazing relationship with our horses, and we are asking them to be patient at the tie rack, to be patient for the farrier, to be patient in the trailer, to be patient on the trail when we ask them to stop, to be patient walking back to the trailhead, to the barn, to the trailer. We're asking them to be patient. Well, don't be a hypocrite. Your horse does not care what you know and what your desired outcome is. They care about how you feel inside. They are sensory awareness masters. Don't lie to your horse. Don't ask them to do something you are unwilling to do for yourself. I was raised in a horrible environment with 2 of the most hypocritical, manipulative, mean individuals I have ever met. And we kids had a million rules. I mean, we literally could not ask a question why without getting our butts tanned. I have grown up and raised my children exactly the opposite. I will not ask my children, my partner, my coworkers, employees, horses, students, anybody. I will not ask them to do something I am unwilling to do myself. And that's how people and horses and animals trust you. So, our horses are here to teach us to be mindful in the present moment and to breathe deeply. And in return, by us practicing that, we're proving to them that we, at the very least, are partners worthy of them trusting. But we don't want to be just partners. We want to be the leader of the herd. And therefore, We want to be mindful, grounded and present, and patient. Patient with ourselves, patient with our horses, patient with those around us. And it all begins with our breath. And so this is not going to be a full 30 minutes, you guys. This is really all it takes. It sounds very simple. It is very simple, but it's not easy. And it takes patience and practice and the desire to be the best that you can be for your horses. And it will ripple out into all other areas of your life. I have two amazing women. I'm going to close on this. I have every woman in my program, and every woman that takes riding lessons or not riding lessons. I don't teach riding horse lessons. I teach horsemanship. And within that is riding. But everybody in my program are amazing. I have two that are fairly new in my program right now. And I have watched them and their horses literally transform before my eyes, simply by learning how to breathe into that power center, become more grounded and present, get out of that fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol releasing state of reactivity and drop down into that parasympathetic place, releasing endorphins and serotonin and being able to think, and their bodies experiencing the feeling of homeostasis, balance, presence, safety, inner peace, and mindfulness. And I am watching their relationship with their horse just changing in every session we have. It's that powerful. So, in summary, we want to go from mindful to mindful, learning to be present and enjoying the moment. These are our teachers. We do it by taking, you can put your hand, take your thumbs and put them on your belly button. Shapes a nice heart. And your fingers where they fall below your belly button. And when you breathe in deep, you want to feel that area expand out, filling your hands with your belly button and your belly. And when you release it, take that belly button all the way back to the spine and release all that breath out through the soles of your feet. And notice, if you're sitting, notice how heavier you get in your seat. How heavy, if you're standing, how heavy your feet get on the ground. This translates into the saddle. When you're in the saddle and you take a nice deep breath in through the top of your head, filling your power center and releasing out through the soles of your feet, that relaxes you deep in the saddle, and your horse feels that. I teach a lot of breathing practices in the saddle as well. Make a daily practice before you get out of bed, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and the last thing before you fall asleep, or the first thing when you crawl into bed. Make the commitment to do this for 2 solid weeks, as well as make the commitment that every time you halter your horse up, you pause, and you do this 4 to 6 times with them. Make the commitment for the next 2 weeks that when you are grooming and you're tacking and you're playing or riding, that you are there with your horse. When you notice your mind going blah, 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 breathe down into that power center and do your horse the favor of being there with them. Just be with them. We have become a society that can't be with one another. Start with your horse. Start with yourself. Remember, the breath is the gateway to all things beautiful, all things present, all things nurturing and healing. The breath is the gateway, the first step to creating an unbridled freedom relationship and partnership with your horse. All right, everybody. Please comment in the comment section on what you think of this video. Share with all of us how your breathing is going and how your horse is responding to it. I witnessed the most beautiful thing this morning with one of my new clients. Seeing a few days ago where they were just like, oh, and showing up today, she took me seriously and the commitment to be the best she can be with her horse to heart and practiced her breathing for the last 3 days. And when I walked out and saw the two of them playing together on the ground, doing their groundwork, she didn't know I was there. They were a completely different partnership than they were 3 days ago. They had the most powerful session today, all because she's choosing to change her patterns. She's choosing to be mindful, present, grounded, and patient with herself and her horse. All right, everyone, comment in the comments. I want to hear what you think about the video. I want to hear about how the breathing is going. Remember, it's not uncommon to take those deep breaths and feel tightness here. That's fine. To get a little dizzy, that's fine. That's normal. Don't stop. You're giving your body and your brain the oxygen it needs. Be patient with yourself. Be mindful of your body breathing in and out through the soles of your feet. Next week is our last episode in a horsewoman's journey to empowerment. It's going to be called Connecting with a Supportive Community. And if you remember correctly, our last episode had finding a supportive community, finding a mentor. We have our supportive community right here, but it doesn't end here, but it is here. This is our beautiful, sacred round pen where we get to come and we get to ask questions. No question is a dumb question except for the one that doesn't get asked. We get to share our wins and our ahas and our questions on what we see in the environment with our horses, what we see in our horses' behavior. We get to share our wins, our frustrations, our challenges, our it didn't go so wells. This space, Unbridled Freedom, this private group is for all of us. So thank you for joining me. Remember to breathe, and I will see you next week.